No, you know, it's quarantine, and when the quarantine started, you just feel hungry all the time. I don't know what is the connection. So we started with cooking dolma, and then we have it on dinner. So
I had it on
they're
dinner.
full of meals.
That's a lovely meal. I think it deserves to be given attention to.
We are stick to the heaters.
What kind of activities do you normally do during cold weather, usually?
Activities, you know,
Besides food and nutrition.
yeah, I think it's a very good time for chatting with each other because, as I said, we will stick to the heater and we
Do
sit
you
with,
normally see each other?
our family, of course. But like on daily basis, we are so busy doing uh, our duties. Like I have my domestic chores, and my husband has his work to be done throughout the day, 24/7. And
Hmm.
girls here had online studying chats.
With whom?
Uh, they are students, and they do online education.
Oh, you mean Jafar?
No, no, I said his sisters.
Oh, okay. So, uh, that's fine. What kind of classes are they taking right now?
Well, one of them is a doctor, general medicine, and the other is pharmacist, and the third is dentist.
Hmm. Which
Mm,
one is the hardest of them, like
of
in
course,
terms
it
of
is the
major?
general medicine.
Why is it difficult? What makes it so difficult?
Because medicine includes a lot of different sciences that it is not fixed to a single part of the body. Like if we are talking about pharmacists, they
Hmm.
will study only pharmacy, anything related to the drugs, their preparation, their interaction, uh, or about if we are talking about dentists, they will fix to a single part of the body and they will take it in details. But
Hmm.
in terms of general medicine, no, you will have to study all these subjects like pharmacology, head and neck, anatomy, like all the medicine and its department. So it
Hmm.
is very loaded subject and a lot of details. And the doctor is the decision maker after all. Like the pharmacist or the nurses will follow his instructions only.
Now,
So he's
with
the
the
leader of the team.
how is the study of medicine in Iraq, generally speaking, different from studying medicine in Romania? As an example here, I'm drawing some comparisons. Can
Um,
you draw
I
some
didn't
comparisons?
study medicine in Romania. It was just only 1 year for
Or at
language
least
preparation. But
at
uh,
least you got an impression about the kind of study there and the
I
expectations.
had the chance that I studied in a very good college, which is in Nahrain College of Medicine. It has very strong basis and foundation. It has a group of very of excellent and highly educated professors. So
Hmm.
they are so academic and they know what is teaching, what is learning. They know all the tricks
Hmm.
and they are old in age. They know how to simplify things. They know what are the things that I'm responsible for, and they know how to drive the subject into our knowledge. So I don't know. I cannot compare ourselves to other colleges. And our college had was fully equipped of everything. Like its
Was it
labs was the
was it
best
expensive?
ever. No, it is. Uh, what do you know? What do you mean with expensive?
Like the cost of study there, was
No,
it
no, no.
expensive?
It was for free.
Okay. That
Yeah.
how is it because it's a scholarship or something else?
No, no, Nahrain College of Medicine. Do you hear
No,
about
no, no.
it?
I mentioned I was talking about Romania. You
No,
mentioned that that there met.
Romania is the cheapest, I think, country in the European. It is not part of the European nation, but it is cheapest among them.
Mhm.
And I don't know really. I don't know what are the kind of study there. I didn't study medicine there. I didn't take my specialty there.
Okay, I see that. Now, talking about a specialization, you mentioned that you had a few English courses in there. What was special about them?
Uh, no, I said I take the Romanian sessions. Like I joined the college for preparation for Romanian language
Hmm.
because medicine there is in Romanian. And
Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah,
That
yeah, but I
that's
said
true.
that the English helped me a lot there because first of all, the teachers are explaining everything with English. And
Mhm.
the second thing is that everything, like a lot of words are the same in English and Romanian. They are common words, but different pronunciation. So when they gave it to us, I already know about it, but other students who do not speak English um, suffered a lot.
I see that.
Mm.
Now, and in terms of writing, did you have
Mm.
any difficulty with Romanian writing
No,
system?
because Romanian writing is very easy because as you pronounce, you write,
Oh, okay. So it's not
Yeah.
phonetic. It's
No, no, there's no silent words or yeah, it is very easy to. I didn't have any problems with writing.
how about culture?
They were lovely and nice. The problem that
Tell
they
me
have,
more.
their people have, they have um, the gypsies, a lot of gypsies there.
Gypsies.
Uh, gypsies, yes, yes. And these were the major problems that I suffered from there because they are not well-educated person. But if speaking of the native Romanian people, they are very kind, very friendly. They are kind of persons that love to talk and they have the curiosity to know about you. They will not feel like restricted or when someone is curious about something, he will keep asking and he will be interested to know more about your culture, um, your religion,
Are they
your house.
close to the Arab mentality in terms of hospitality, in terms of generosity, or in terms of
Um,
being sociable and trying to get to know and not being super inquisitive?
what does it mean of inquisitive?
Asking questions in a way that seems like an interrogation.
No, I didn't suffer from that. As I said, um, most of them are highly educated, uh, and I felt so comfortable with them because when they ask me about things that they do not understand, it seems that they are not interrogating me. They are just interested to know more and more.
What
Um,
um, what are the biggest cities that you visited in Romania?
I visited only two cities. I don't know if which one is the biggest, was the biggest.
Mhm.
It's Bucharest and a city called Sinai,
Now, what?
something, someplace on the mountain.
Now, it seems to me that there are so many countries around the world, and your choice of Romania came for very specific reasons. Would you please elaborate on the reasons that you made the decision to go to Romania to study there and the complications that happened after that?
Mm. 1st reason is that I have a lot of relatives there. lived there for about 10 or more years. And so I was welcomed there, and I didn't have any problems with the, accommodation or finding place to stay or to cope with the new system, because they helped me a lot. The second thing, it is cheap. It is the cheapest if we compare to other countries, like London or something. The difficulties that mainly was the language. Actually, I didn't withstand the idea that I'm gonna study medicine in language other than English. I loved Romanian language. It was very easy, and I was very good at Romanian language after 3 months, only 3 months. I remember that yes.
I think one of the key features that just made the Romanian language level of proficiency is probably that you are very dedicated and smart in terms of learning new things, and I can see that reflected in your behavior and in your way of communicating to me, starting from the first class that we had together. And I want to say it straightforwardly that you're one of the unique students that I've worked with so far, and that just made me think of putting you as a case study of language learner who discovers languages. She's avid to learn languages. But I have a curious request here. Can you introduce yourself in Romanian? I just need to hear the way you speak Romanian.
Oh my
Since
God,
I'm a
I didn't
linguist,
speak Romanian since 5 years,
like
maybe.
for example,
Okay, okay.
say your name, where you're from, what kind of food you cooked
Okay.
tonight.
Just let me
Like
collect
Dolma.
my ideas. You had surprised me.
Collect your thoughts.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. When I say my name is Zainab, it is Makiaman Zainab. Makiaman. Like it is, like in English, it is, they call me Zainab. They called me Zainab. So Makiaman Zainab. I'm a doctor student on doctor, or I can say doctorita. What else?
That's easy. Like
Yeah, it is.
Doctorita, Senorita, Musiquita.
Yeah. What else? What question you want me to?
How about do they say professorita or just professor?
Professoara, like professor. Un professor for a male, and for female, o professoara.
Do they have specific additions to the verb when they speak about he and she and they and we and I, or not?
Yes, they have everything in their
Like
language. It's divided into female and male. It is feminine and masculine. They call it feminine and masculine. Everything around you is divided into female and male.
Like Dolma, is it feminine or masculine? Come on.
Dolma? We can't compare it to any other verb. If we say that it is kind of food, then it is menkara, so it's feminine.
It's actually, English is a quite interesting language, but despite the fact that it's a quite interesting language, this may come as a surprise that English hasn't developed enough to cope up with the pace of other languages that have heritage, culture, and traditions like East Asian languages such as Chinese or Russian or other German, French languages. And the reason of which is the short documentation of the English grammar and English dictionary. Until, well, the earliest dictionary has been available for, I think, 250 to 300 years. It was published in 1775 or something like that. And this is very close time, you know. Um, uh, Before that, English did not have any grammar, did not have any dictionaries. And there was a necessity to establish a source to teach English, and this source, well, because of the expansion of the United Kingdom to other nations, they wanted to introduce English to them, so they consulted people who work in universities to come up with something that they can use to teach other nations. That's so probably one major reason for developing grammar was war related.
I saw a movie that was called, I don't know, Professor and the Mad Man. I don't know
by
what
Mel
is.
Gibson.
Yes, for Mel Gibson. They wrote
Part of the story.
letters, or I don't know. It was announcement in the newspaper that everyone who had a word or knew the origin of the word or definition of the word should text us as letters.
Well, it's quite interesting to know that the study of language is different from studying dictionaries. The study of dictionaries is something we call lexicography, and lexicographers are very dedicated, patient type of people who wait for years to collect as many thousands of words to put them in dictionary. They are lexicographers, and their specialization is taught at universities. They of course study language, but they are more leaning towards designing dictionaries for learners in the intermediate and the upper intermediate and the advanced level. And they choose words. They spend so much time working on that kind of dictionaries, and they spend hours and hours to come up with one single page. I think it's either Merriam-Webster or Oxford Dictionary. It took them 20 years to finish. So it's not an easy job to be done. But going back to my point, regarding English grammar and how it is easy. Now, English has not developed enough to give a masculinity or femininity to their words. However, there is implied feeling in English regarding some of the things in reality, because English deal with words, with nouns and names in terms of neutrality. So for English, the most common nouns are neutral. حيادية. They are not feminine, they are not masculine. However, there are few occasions where people can feel that the word is feminine, not masculine. Like, for example, the word ship is always feminine in
So
English.
she.
So they use the word she. The moon is actually feminine in English, not masculine. Sun is masculine in English, to your surprise. So there's this kind of difference between English and other. But that's good news, because that just made language easier and widespread and very common around the world because of its easiness of grammar. Had it been so, that's why it is categorized as one of the easiest languages to learn, with Spanish and few other languages, where Chinese, Arabic, Hebrew are ranked among the hardest languages to be learned, where learners spend more than 2,000 hours of learning to master these languages. What's
Mhm.
other things? I mean, I'm sorry we're spending a lot of time talking about that and not focusing on that subject, but it's quite interesting to get to know your experience. I would love to ask
Mhm.
you to tell me any kind of interesting stories that happened to you in Romania.
Interesting. Well, it was all the period there was a new experience to me. All the time I spent it was interesting because it is there where the first time I saw the snow and the first time that I see four seasons along the with all the details. Like it was the first time that I saw the falling of the leaves from the trees during autumn.
Are you a
Um,
city girl or a countryside girl? Do you like to live in city or in countryside more?
of course, in cities, because
Why?
I'm, I want to study or I want to go to my job. So
Mm.
it will be so difficult to me if I was a countryside girl and have to cross all this distance to get to the job or to the school or to the university. But the countryside is in my list where the places that I want to visit or spend the vacations there. Um, I didn't do it ever, but it is in my list.
Okay, enough talking about Romania. Let's jump to talk about something within our concern of tonight's discussion, and that is paraphrasing. I noticed that you've done the paraphrasing in the document that I sent you, starting from paraphrasing task one, but I didn't get your result for reading. Did you finish that, or are you
Reading,
still?
I finished. Yeah, it has only 18 questions, and there was no score.
What do you mean it had 18 questions?
You sent me a link with the writing test, a task, and I did it, but it contained only 18 questions regarding the immigration paragraph.
It has nothing to do with immigration. You should have completed the whole 40 questions. However,
Okay.
immigration was only part.
I oh, I didn't find
What?
the rest.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I see them here in front of me. Maybe it was a glitch. Glitch. I don't know if you know this word.
No.
I think Jafar knows this word. Um, it's a glitch. Glitch is a kind of error that happens in the programs that just makes them um, behave in awkward and weird way. So it's a glitch. It's a software
Yeah,
glitch or something.
I reopened it several times. I and refreshed it several times, but I didn't have the rest of the tests.
It's of no problem. What we have been doing is I took it as an opportunity since you have background about the kind of paragraphs, and it's gonna be ideal for us to discuss how you paraphrase because it's not about the content that I provide you. It's
Mm.
more about your method of changing the content in your own words. So no matter what content, we're just trying to get in paraphrasing mode and be able to paraphrase, negotiate that. That's where things start to develop and evolve using your own words, using your own style. And it's actually one of the uh, one of the challenging things for a lot of people who study in academic field to do paraphrasing because sometimes things are very challenging to change, like thoughts, people's quotes, famous sayings. These are
Like it is
relatively
already
hard.
in academic words. How can I redo it in academic words?
Where there is always more than one way of saying things. And
Mm.
I think if you explore any field, if everybody, I mean, if only one person is talking, quoting, and publishing, there is no need for other people to publish. That's why everybody has his own way of saying things. Uh,
Mm.
And if you start exploring journals, for example, academic journals in your field or in my field in language study, you would find that the same topic is addressed by two different people the same way. They're just using their own style. And that's because everybody wants to share his thoughts and her thoughts. So there's always this kind of need to change, alter, reshape, reconfigure things in your own ways. Otherwise, you're gonna just lose your job and get back home, sit, chillax, and eat dolma.
Okay.
So, like I assure you, like I have a couple of books here. They are in language teaching. I open both of them and I look at the content. The content is pretty much the same. They're just changing back and forth
Yes.
some of the topics and changing the way of describing that thing. Everybody has his own background and his own knowledge, and sharing is good. It's beneficial. People are making money for that, and there's always this constant need to upgrade and update. I think Albert Einstein says if you are teaching what you've taught 5 years ago, it's either there's some problem with your with the content you're teaching or with you. So there's always necessity to change. Like now with hybrid learning. I remember when I was back in university in 2011, 2012, I did my master degree in distance learning, 2012. Now it's when I came back, people were laughing at Ministry of Higher Education, saying like, why are you doing a master degree in distance learning and distance teaching? Now, 8 years forward, everybody who probably said that to me now has a Google Meet classroom and he's teaching other
Of
people, and they're
course.
just getting back to me,
Yeah.
asking me questions about how to manage distance
Yeah.
learning platforms. So it's quite interesting that with a little bit of patience, things change. There's constant change, and now it's the trademark of 2021,
Yeah.
distance learning. However, going back here, you mentioned that why there is necessary. Well, first of all, because we need to develop some thesis statement for your essay in IELTS, and second, we need to learn more vocabulary. Third, in case you go to university, you are going to be required to write in your own words. I think there is there is some ease with the treatment of paraphrasing and plagiarism in Iraq. But abroad, when I was back at university, one student was dismissed from university because he copied one complete sentence without citing that, and that was considered as plagiarism of سرقة.
Yes.
So it's quite serious risk to not be able to paraphrase because that's gonna put you in very critical situations. Do you have access to the link online, or you're using your phone to talk to me?
No, I have a laptop and I.
Oh, perfect. Now let's come to paragraph A, and I see that you highlighted the paragraph in yellow, orange. I think it's orange. Yeah, the first task was, well, the Tuesday's February tasks were the task that I assigned with the reading. Do you want to comment on the previous ones?
I don't know, as you wish.
Okay, let's have a look at the one of despite the tremendous suffering, attempt to join the medical school.
I don't remember it actually. Did I write those?
I think let's
Yeah.
since we have the leftover
Because it was I think it was a photo.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I
either
remembered.
it's either you lost your memory or you have some post-Dolma syndrome.
Of course,
That
the
just
fat is
goes because
I have elevated cholesterol now. All is passing into my mind.
can Can we call it post-Dolma trauma syndrome
Yeah,
or something like that?
yeah, of course.
Okay, let's go to
Whatever.
the. I think it's preferable to go to A, which is during successive waves of
Okay,
globalization, and because this is the leftover from your memory from
okay,
our last meeting.
okay.
Um, we're just superficially discussing it and negotiate that, and this is called negotiation for meaning, and it's
Mm,
very useful to help learners critically criticize their self-paraphrasing skills and end up with a better vision about their skills and how to develop good style for academic writing.
mhm.
How did you paraphrase this, and why is it shorter than the original one?
Because I didn't write the name of the scientist and the university and all those. I put it in blanks. So it is short. I didn't mention that part.
Okay.
I mentioned it, but I didn't write the names.
Here, you mentioned the migratory process. Why did you choose the word migratory process as an opposite to migration? Because here you are describing, you're shifting the meaning, you're describing the process, not the migration itself. Where in the original
Because
one
I
it says,
think migration is a process.
okay, well, if you think so, that's quite valid. I'm just questioning your choice of migratory process. I like the word, by the way. It's nice to be put that way. And the second sentence where he said, according to a new study conducted by blah blah blah,
Mm, mm,
who indicates
mm.
that the economic issues are the main factors for immigration. Do you
Mm.
think there are other words to use here instead of the word main?
Are the main, the principal.
I love the word principle. It
Mm,
sounds more academic because the
mm,
word main is like very common word.
yes.
Quite it's a quite depleted word.
Mm. Fundamental, can you say
I love
fundamental?
this word. So we got multiple choice.
Mm-mm.
Multiple choices. Do you remember the trick where you go on a tour on the English alphabet and you
Mm.
go to A to have, do I have anyone in A, B, C, D, and subsequently take a tour to go over the rest of the ones. Going to B, um, for many years after the discovery of America, you mentioned due to the elevated expenses of
Yes.
transportation. Uh, the word elevated is probably coming from a medical background. I can see that this word has some medical background. Do you use this word in medicine?
Of course. Mm.
No. If it is used in medicine, um, there is no condition. Well, there's no necessity to. I mean, how do we say that? There's no obligation that this
Mm.
word is applicable in expenses. Think
Mm.
there's a monster coming around you right now.
Yes.
But don't worry, don't
Sorry.
worry. Um, so due to the elevated expenses, the word elevated and expenses are not collocating. It means they are not matching together.
Mm.
This is what I feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, uh,
Uh,
so can we change the
rising,
word
rising
rise?
expenses.
That's, yeah, there's the word rise, the word escalation, escalating.
Escalate. Yes.
These are very, very, very common expressions that can be associated with the word um, expenses. You hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay. Um, let's keep going here. The
Okay.
word expenses of transportation and the risky circumstances of migration, which
Mm.
make make the immigration covered America obviously low, for instance. This is whole one sentence, you see? Now, structurally speaking, English sentences are, and because they are very short sentences, there's this tendency whenever we write to shorten the sentences. So this is something we call in English compound complex. They are not compound, they're not complex, they are compound complex sentences because they have multiple subjects, they have multiple verbs, they have multiple adverbs, and that is all complicating comprehension. So the more you complicate the structure of the sentence, the more you complicate the structure of comprehension of the readers. So you just need to divide the sentence into shorter chunks, divide it into shorter chunks. So instead of saying due to the elevated expenses, we can say due to the escalating expenses, for example, of transportation and the risky circumstances of migration. Now, when you said which, this is the point where you killed the sentence. So we just needed to here, for example, the word obviously, we can cut that part out and just leave it in this way. So we just need to fix it a step by step just to make it shorter and more ideal for readability. So it just makes it more readable.
Okay.
Now, due to the escalating expenses of transportation and the risky circumstances of
We
migration.
can say them without which make the migration rate drops.
I want you, can you type it up? Because I want to see it reflected in written context here.
I'm very low educated regarding laptops.
That's fine. I totally understand that.
I'll use my phone instead. Migration. The immigration rates. It was obviously low. Now we said we'll drop up. Drop. Can say drop dramatically.
I love that word.
Okay.
And you just reminded me to show you something quite interesting here. I'll just discuss it in a second once we're done with this sort of discussion here. So read it again to me, please.
Due to the escalating expenses of transportation and risky circumstances of migration, the immigration rate drops dramatically from Europe to recently discovered America. So, for instance, a farmer would spend. This is another sentence, like an example.
Okay, that's example. They'll just leave it aside here. Due to the escalating expenses of transportation and the risky circumstances of migration. Can we change the word circumstances? Because the word circumstances is more circumstantial. It's more like maybe conditions.
Well, I tried not to use the same words that they had used it already several times during the text.
So we have the word conditions. We have maybe we have other options that we can think of from the the verb, from the letters A to letters Z, where we can use another word, not conditions and not yeah, situations of migration, and we have this comma here, and then of migration. What did I do here? Okay, so migration. The immigration. The immigration rate. Now here you gotta pay attention. It's dropped dramatically.
Yes, dropped. Yes,
dropped
that's right.
Dramatically from Europe to the recently discovered America. Now, to the recently discovered, from Europe to the recently discovered America is a sort of flying in the air kind of sense. I cannot um, digest it
Digested.
properly. So yeah, we both said it at the same time. So there's like, can you just do a little bit change this word? I like to see it written differently.
Just like, let me see the original one. They said the new America, as I remembered.
Hmm.
Research. Okay, I don't know, where is it in the text? Okay, anyways, like the new land, the new land, America, in the practice, between practices.
Okay, now that makes sense here. Perfect. Now, going for instance, a farmer would spend approximately, but Zainab, I think there's this question that may pop up in your mind, like, why do we do this? And this is for sake of um, becoming a reflective writer. So once you start writing, we just need to perfect paraphrasing the first introduction to the essay, because this is where most of writers get stuck. Once we overcome that kind of obstacle, we will have very good, smooth, linear writing narrative or script for the rest um, of the essay. And it's quite it's not going to be that quite challenging if we get to that point. So, for instance, a farmer would spend approximately half of his payment um, collected annually in order to migrate from southern England to North America. That seems very acceptable, and I think it's well put here. Until the early 19th century, now we only have some potential problems with punctuation here. So, comma, because when you say until the early 19th century, that is an adverbial sentence. So it's a structure that is added to the what you want to say, this slavery was a widespread phenomenon, and evidences demonstrate that about 7 million out of 8 million immigrants to North America and the Caribbean islands were African slaves. Um, it's good, but it needs to be cooked a little bit more.
Okay.
So until the early 19th century, the word slavery, we're not talking about general sort of, we're not talking about very specific kind of slavery. For example, when we say the slavery of black people
Okay.
in America, that's the sort of the slavery. So when you talk about the slavery, that is the slavery I'm referring to. And it happens only when both the speaker and the listener, the speaker and the reader, understand mutually the kind of the slavery that they are both talking about.
Yes.
Generally speaking, there is no need to the article. The good news is that prepositions and definite articles and indefinite articles are the last thing to master when you become professional. So there is no worry if you struggle with that. That's just an indication that you're an advanced level kind of learner. So don't worry about it at all. Going to the next point here, you mentioned the word evidence cannot be. It's not a countable word, so it's either evidence. It's uncountable word. So it's like sheep. We do not say sheeps or fishes. We just say evidence.
So demonstrates that also. Okay.
Demonstrate. Now, what happened here, we have a problem. We have another problem because we're
Where
talking
is
about
it?
the coherence and coherent, the cohesion and the coherence.
Mm.
When we build a structure like an essay, we're just building a structure like a house. So bricks should have the same shape, mostly, with some
Mm.
decorations here and there. Um, so what happened in the previous sentence, you mentioned now you're shifting to present simple. Now
Oh.
you either maintain some consistency and you
Mm.
indicate that you are going to shift to past, or
Mm.
just keep it all in past, or you just keep it all in present simple with some modulations here and there, but paving the way to this kind of alternation along the way. That's what
Mm.
you should do. This is very carefully, um, this is very careful issue that you need to be careful about.
Mm.
Okay, going to paragraph C, because we are running out of time. So we have in paragraph C, we have nearly 1 million. I love the word nearly for some reason. I don't know why. Nearly 1 million were attracted to the New World annually
Mm.
uh, by the late 20th century. Now, see here, when you need to stop, you need to indicate that you're stopping. Uh,
Mm.
in writing, there's always need to indicate to the readers that they should stop here because the new sentence carries a new idea. So one idea per sentence.
Okay.
And then you need to change this to this.
Mm.
This increase was attributed to the affluence presence. What do you mean by affluence presence?
Like the increased standards of life, I think. Like they said, just give me a minute. They said the growing prosperity.
Okay, so okay, I totally understand that.
Mm.
I understand your idea and I understand your intention of what you want to say, but it's not clearly stated here. It's not clearly stated here. Um, when you mention the word diminished hazards, I think it's better to say diminishing hazards. And the word
Mm.
hazards, do we have other words like risks, dangers, that we can use alternatively?
Mm.
Maybe.
Like a critical,
Yeah, maybe.
critical situation, critical something.
Stop using medical words. Just use.
Okay. I cannot. It is in my
Stop.
bones.
Okay.
Um,
Uh,
how to
I-
say? Just give me a few
I'm ex
seconds.
I'm expect.
Danger, like
Well, I hope that you're not gonna use, for example, words congenital hazards of diminishing
diminishing
inflation.
dangerous
Mhm,
situations
mhm.
or conditions.
Okay. Um, I mean, we can use that metaphorically speaking,
Mm.
طريقة مجازية, but in general, the word is. Um, I remember when I was at university there, I was studying, and then there was a roundtable meeting where we used to discuss our papers to each other and get some feedback back and forth. And during the conversation, I with the professor who was sitting listening to us and just moderating and uh, sharing his thoughts, I said approximately.
Mm.
Everybody was looking at me like, what? All of those who were sitting next to me were native speakers, English native speakers, and
Mm.
they seem that they never heard of that word said by any person. It's just written, it's not spoken, and it's
Uh,
extremely formal kind of expression that,
mm.
like,
Mm.
imagine somebody
Mm.
with the narrative of the last 1400 years, narrating something in Arabic in the modern Iraqi street, and it's gonna be It's gonna be fun to listen to them.
Of
Okay.
course. So we
Now,
can also use the word serious. Yeah,
okay,
serious
serious what?
situations, serious conditions,
I
serious.
okay.
Mm,
The period between 1914 and 1945.
mm,
Now, when you indicate to this, when you indicate this period, you should just separate it, because if
mm,
you do not separate it, that's gonna sound like 1914 is the subject of the sentence. It's very minor thing. It's like not a big deal.
mm,
But since they have in IELTS, they have assessment for grammar, and part of grammar is accuracy. And when we define
mm.
accuracy, we come up with the idea. We see the word punctuation out there.
Yeah.
You see the point? So you gotta keep that in mind.
Okay.
Moving on, I think we do have the word economic collapse and de-restriction strategies designed by the government. The word restriction strategies designed. That's not quite common to hear or see this list of expressions coming together.
Mm,
Okay, so maybe we can say the collapse and the restriction protocol
mm,
created by the government or imposed by governments,
mm.
and not by the government, but by governments, because we're not talking
Uh,
about the government of Iraq. We're talking about
yes, yes, I
all
got you.
governments in the world,
Mm,
regardless
mm.
of where the nationality of that government is.
Okay.
Around 1930, people started to leave. The word leave, we can say depart, for example, or emigrate or
Mm,
migrate, United
mm.
States. And we never say United States, we say the United. This is where
Okay.
it gets
Yeah,
tricky.
yeah, I get you. Yeah.
We
Mm.
never say United States, we
Yeah, because we
almost
specify
always.
our words. Yeah, it is the single United States.
Yes, because
Mm.
we do not have United States. We
In
only have,
Iraq, for example.
yeah. By the way, there
Yeah,
was a
okay.
proposition to form the United States of Africa, but that
Mm,
was not done.
mm,
However, around 1930, people started to depart. Um, I would say the word started, just replace it with another word that seems more academic, to depart.
initiate.
Not initiate.
Mm,
Not started, not initiated.
oh,
Um, but we can choose another word.
started.
Maybe began to depart the United States and return to Europe. And following the Second World War immigration, see, the Second World War immigration, do you mean the immigration of the Second World War?
Just go. No, that's it. Punctuation issue. But on the second one,
Okay.
the immigration direction. Mm.
It's like think of think of punctuation like let's eat. See the difference?
Where are you writing? Oh, let's
Down,
eat. Okay, let's eat. Grandpa?
let's eat, grandpa. The first one means that let us eat, grandpa. خلينا ناكل جدتنا. The second one, let's eat, grandpa, which is an invitation to grandpa to eat with you.
Eat, yes. Mm.
So this punctuation very important. Let's keep that in
Okay.
mind. Last but not least, Let's stop here because I want to show you something that I want you to check it out. This is something in language we call, let's see here. It's very long one, but you're not gonna need to just memorize this, memorize everything, but it's a pattern. You just need to look at the pattern here. It's called collocations, متلازمات, something we call collocations. I just want you to download it and open the first page.